Welcome back to my Guy Reviews channel. Today I wanted to talk to you about my Yukon versus my Ford Expedition. Recently I sold my Yukon and got a Ford Expedition, and they were both within a model year of each other, both current generations with current control systems and current body types. But I want to talk to you about why. Now I know in this video a lot of people are going to say, Luke, give me a quick breakdown. Which one's better than the other? That's a little hard to say because they both have positive and negatives. I don't think you're going to go wrong with either one, but there are some things I think you should know about to help you pick the one that's right for you. As with all things in life, no one vehicle, no one thing is perfect for everyone. And that's definitely very true when it comes to Yukon versus the XL. Now, a few quick notes here. I sold my Yukon because of one reason. I really loved it, but it was a rear-wheel drive. And when I drive in a lot of snow, I like to have four-wheel. So I decided to go get a four-wheel drive version, and I could have easily got another Yukon with four-wheel drive. That wasn't a problem. I didn't think about that when I bought a rear-wheel drive one down here in Texas, that I will be traveling to a lot of areas with snow. So I made that decision and I started looking between the two, and I got this Ford Expedition recently, and I really like it. But there are things I preferred better about the Yukon. So let's get into that. A few quick points here. Number one, Ford Expedition just has so much more legroom in the second and third row compared to the Yukon. So the Ford Expedition, just tons of legroom here. Unbelievable amounts of legroom. When you look at the Yukon, the legroom is just not nearly as nice unless you really move forward the front row, and then the third row, no matter what you do, is very limited. With this Expedition, there is right off from the start, no matter what version you get, better legroom in my opinion. Now with that said though, the Yukon, I like the steering wheel layout a lot better than the Ford Expedition. The controls on the steering wheel, which we'll cover in a minute, were better. The Yukon had better storage in the back of both the standard and the XL version. Now you give that up, you give up legroom in order to get that storage room. So you really need to make a decision. Is more storage room in the back more important, or is legroom more important? Past that, there's definitely a lot of pluses and minuses on both sides for this. So let's dive into it. Let me show you a few things here that I think will help you make a decision on which one you like and which one you don't, because there's really no right or wrong. But first, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up. It really does help us because it lets YouTube know you enjoy what I do here. Hopefully I can help you make a decision on which vehicle is right for you. So when it comes down to the Yukon versus the Ford Expedition, there's one thing you really have to consider. If you're driving this vehicle, what the steering wheel controls are like, what the heads-up displays are like, is probably one of the most important options here, because you're going to be doing a lot of time behind this wheel. You want it to be comfortable. And I'll have to say, this is probably one area where Yukon slightly beats Ford, but not by much. And then when it comes to the entertainment system here, maybe Ford slightly wins, but not by much. So it's going to kind of come down to personal opinion. Let's start off with the steering wheel. Now, on the Ford, one of the things you'll notice right away is these are big plastic buttons. Not nearly as nice as my Yukon. I really miss having everything in two kind of circular control pads here. Here I find myself having to do a lot of moving around to get what I want. I just miss having the control pads and a little bit of information back here. Past that, it actually gives you all the same controls for the most part. The only annoying thing is the heated steering wheel is located way down here instead of being a button right over here. So overall, not a dramatic difference, not enough to make me say, hey, I'm gonna get a Yukon over a Ford, but the steering wheel is a little bit nicer on a Yukon. Though I will say, when you're actually holding it and driving it, this is a very similar experience. I wouldn't say either one is any better. Now the heads-up dashboard here is very similar, to be honest with you. There's not a lot of difference. For example, the information here is larger, brighter, nicer overall, but many of the same features are available. Ford does offer some additional information that the Yukon doesn't. There's just so much information here. The one thing I missed though is on the speedometer with a Yukon is it did have, for example, the speed limit for the road. I missed the ability just to look down and see what the speed limit is. I know the map system here does it, but it's very nice to just be driving, glance at your speed and go, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be doing 36 miles an hour, for example, or whatever. I'm doing 36, I should be doing 35 kind of thing. So I miss that. But Ford is a little bit nicer, a little bit more updated. The only thing it's really missing is the fact that it doesn't display who's calling you, what your text messages are, and more on this screen. On my Yukon, I would just be driving down the road, glance down, okay, I'm getting a phone call from a family member or whoever, I'll pick that up or not pick that up. Now I have to find that information over here, and that just seems like a bigger distraction with that. So personal opinion a little bit, I don't think you can go wrong either way. I just do miss the ability to see who's calling me and who is texting me down here. If there's something I missed in the settings to do that, let me know. Now with the touch panel here, I will say this is a much more responsive touch panel. Compared to my Yukon, this is a much nicer display. The quadrants is very nice. Now the one thing it is missing a little bit is I'm missing the Yukon is there's a row of presets for the radio, and it didn't matter if it was from Sirius XM, AM, FM, etc. It would all go there. So I could go have a preset for Sirius XM, or I can have a preset for AM, FM, and more all across here. So I want to listen to, for instance, ESPN on the radio or Fox Sports local radio station, have Sirius XM's ESPNU radio. I could have them all right next to each other. Now I need to go into audio, select source, and then switch to Sirius XM, or audio, select source, flip to FM, flip to AM. So that's a little annoying. Past that, very similar. You know, the navigation maps are both great. Phone commands are both great. Apps are a little bit different. For instance, Yukon has a Weather Channel app, which I love to be able to see radar. I do a lot of cross-country driving. It was really nice to be able to click on the radar. Man, is there a bad storm coming? Do I want to think about getting off and having dinner now and let the storm pass? You know, where is that storm? Now there's no option to do that. But they have Alexa here, which is really nice, which my Yukon doesn't. Now, apps on the Yukon are installed and run off the data plan you pay for with the Yukon. Apps on the Ford are actually off your phone. Somebody's horn is going off, sorry about that. But with this, on Android, it will wirelessly connect, and you can get these apps through the Bluetooth connection. With iOS, you need a USB cable to access those. So really, I could go back and forth. I think a little bit better, a lot better responsive, better looking screen. Wish the presets were like on my Yukon. Some of the apps are better here, some of the apps are better there. Overall, it's a wash. Give Ford the slight edge here for the more responsive, quicker screen here. You do have the ability to flip this to a dark mode at all time, or have this light mode, or have it go, you know, at night be a dark mode, during the day a light mode. I also think Ford has a better 360 camera, just a much better experience with the quality of it. So keep that in mind. Couple things here. One of the annoyances a little bit is the USB is located up here. If you want to connect for CarPlay, Android Car, or any kind of stuff like that, you have to use these two. Now, I do miss having a USB slot in here, and it looks like there should have been a slot for it right here. It's just this blank spot. It's like that used to be a USB. They do have a 12-volt, you know, cigarette lighter type carjacking, if I remember when those were really cigarette lighters. I got a little quick charge charger here for my phone. If I use this USB cable, it charges it super fast. So I got that. But I can't put the cable there. I kind of miss the ability to have this nice little slot right here where you can run USB cables. Just much neater, much cleaner to have it running through there. And then I could have this cable right here to control. I wish Ford put a USB one in the armrest like most car makers do. Instead, they got this wireless charging port here. You put your phone there and charges. You got USB here to charge and USB here to run. Now, you can kind of hide it. I mean, there is this cable here. The door will slide on it. I'm going to buy a black cable to kind of hide it a little bit more. But if you're using Android Car or an iOS device, you know, that's your only option. And I just kind of wish it was like this. So when I'm not using it, the cable just kind of went back there and vanished. Past that, cup holders, everything. You know, Yukon may be a little bit nicer. Ambient light thing. These are lights here, which at night will go on to whatever color you select. A little nicer on the Ford. So kind of a wash there. Now, the real selling point, the reason I got this was legroom. The legroom on my Ford Expedition here is huge. Even when the seats are fully back, it's bigger than in my Yukon. The downside is the storage in the back is a little bit less. Legroom in the third row, though, is considerably larger than in the Yukon. So, kind of a personal opinion. Is legroom more important, or is storage more important to you? When it really came down to it, for me, legroom is what ended up being mostly the most important to us. So we ended up going with legroom as what we wanted, and the reason we went with the Yukon. One last note is the Yukon has a bigger gas tank. I think the Ford Expedition gets better gas mileage, but you will fill it up more often because the tank is slightly smaller. Having a smaller tank is less weight, which is probably part of the reason it has better gas mileage. So there you go. There are my initial reactions. Overall, I don't think you're going to find one better than the other, but one second, let me flip this camera around and give you my final opinions. So there you go. There are my thoughts of the pros and cons of the Yukon versus the Ford. Now, after buying the Ford and driving it, would I get it again? Yes. Do I miss things about the Yukon? Oh, definitely. There are definitely parts of the Yukon where I said, that's better. And Ford, you need to up your game, especially when it comes to the steering wheel. It's not bad, but after driving my Yukon, and you can definitely tell that these keys or control pads feel a lot cheaper. They don't feel as ergonomical. There's a lot more of jumping around the steering wheel, having to move your hands up and down to the buttons versus having everything right at your fingertips. You know, the things, some of it like the dashboard, there's a lot of great information there. I just wish like text messages and that kind of information, who's calling, was displayed next to your speedometer like it is on my Yukon, because I find that to be far less distracting. It doesn't seem like it should be, but you know, looking straight ahead, glancing down versus looking straight ahead and turning my head down to the right and then back up, just feels like I'm pulling myself way farther out to see who's calling me if I want to take this call or not. So overall, 2 thumbs up for both. I don't think you're going to go wrong. I mean, I love this huge sunroof I got here. I love the look of the Ford. I love the features and more. I just think that they could do better in some areas. So what do you think? Ford Expedition versus Yukon. Which one was right for you and why? Leave me a comment and let me know. A few final notes with these as always. I'm recording this in 2020. When it comes to like the software, things change. New apps appear. Yeah, do I think Yukon has more apps that work there? Yep. But Ford has apps that Yukon doesn't. Primarily the Alexa support. That really is awesome. Having an Alexa in your car, you just say, Alexa, play this, do that, is so cool. Hands-free, don't even need to press button once you open the app. So 2 thumbs up on that. Yukon, if they added that, it would be huge. Past that, again, I don't know what to tell you. Now, a few things about physically driving it. Both are very easy rides. I really like the Yukon. The Yukon XL and the Ford Expedition Max are much bigger vehicles, a lot longer, make them a little bit harder to drive than the standard Yukon, standard Ford Expedition. I've driven both, and I'm very comfortable with both. I do find the lane assist on the Yukon maybe to be a smidgen better when it comes to keeping you in the lane or notifying you you're out. I do like the cameras, the 360 cameras, better on the Expedition. It's really nice to have a frontwards facing camera with a wide angle lens. When I'm pulling in the garage, you know, you want to make sure you get far enough in, but not too far so that the garage door doesn't hit you in the back. Past that, hey, there's really nothing right or wrong with which one of these is the correct vehicle. So let me know. I'll be driving this some more. If there's any particular questions you had about the Yukon or the Ford Expedition, let me know. I'll love to hear from you. Hope you all have a fantastic day. I hope you're all taking care. Hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up. I'll see you real soon for more guy reviews.